I think the Yankees are still better than the Mets, but imagine even asking that question 2 months ago. It is a legitimate question now.
Tim Kurkjian from ESPN joining us right now, and we'll get into his website and the podcast as well. Want you to check all of that out. Tim, great to see you. But I wanted to start right away with the dominance of Paul Skenes right now, and your take on how rare it is to see a rookie look the way he does. But also, can we double down since it's trade deadline time, Tim, and get your take on how the Pirates should support this phenomenon?
I'm not sure we've seen anything quite like Paul Skenes. Look, I'm really old, so I saw Fernando Valenzuela. I was covering in 1981 when he went 8-0 that year with 8 complete games, 5 shutouts, and 4 earned runs in 72 innings. That was something like we've never seen before, and yet Skenes, in his own way, has been just like that. I mean, his first 11 starts, he had more strikeouts and a lower ERA through 11 starts than any pitcher in the history of baseball. And if we would allow him to be his greatest and let him pitch 9 innings, he might have had 2 no-hitters in his first 11 starts. That's what I think we saw with Paul Skenes those first 11. He was great yesterday. He started the All-Star game. He is a comet, and he is somebody that is going to carry the All-Star experience for the next 10 years. And as for the second part of the question, the Pirates are in this thing. They haven't won in a while. They've got people in Pittsburgh excited. They have to go get him some help. They have to go get the whole team some help, because you can't tease a fan base like this and then just say, all right, we're not doing anything at the break. We're going to try to win with the group we have here. I think that the thing to do is to go get some help and try to make the playoffs.
Is there a chance that Paul Skenes is better than what Paul Skenes is, since every pitcher that has ever left the Pirates is actually better? Clay Holmes, Garrett Cole, Tyler Glasnow. Is there something that could still be unlocked? Because you look at Fernando Valenzuela's, because you said it, his career, he didn't continue this. So is there something more that we could see from Skenes in the future? I don't know what more there could be, but
yes, he's 6'6", 235. He is wildly competitive. Fellas, I did the All-Star game, as I always do, from the one of the dugouts as a radio reporter. And I watched Paul Skenes walk up and down that dugout about 20 times. He could not sit still. Now, again, he's 22 years old and he's starting the All-Star game. Maybe that's the way any pitcher would be, but he didn't see anybody during the pacing back and forth, because that's the zone he was getting into. And Eric, Cam, you know that zone that these pitchers get into. They are in a trance. They don't even know where they are, because all they're thinking about is going out there and throwing 102 miles an hour with filthy secondary stuff. So I learned a little bit just watching him walk back and forth there. And yet after his inning, I interviewed him and he was completely composed. There is nothing not to like about this guy. And you're asking me, is there more there? I don't think there's any doubt. There's a lot more there for Paul Skenes, and that is really saying something.
That's scary, Tim. I want to stay on the Pirates. And, a two-part question. My mother always told me no question's a dumb question, but this may be a dumb question. You look at his dominance, and I know he came up late. Is there any chance that if he stays on this pace that we can honestly be considering him as the National League Cy Young when you talk about how dominant he's been? Or will his innings, will he just not have enough innings? I look at a guy who I think won it a couple of years ago that didn't have as many innings as Zach Wheeler. I'm losing it right now. But Corbin Burns, I think he won it with less innings, when I think Zach Wheeler looked like he might have should have won it. Is there a chance that, one, Paul Skenes could win a Cy Young this year? And two, you talk about teasing a fan base. What do the Pirates need? What are they missing that they may be trying to go get at the deadline to really put them in real contention?
Well, first off, Cam, there are dumb questions asked because I asked you a dumb question when you were playing. I asked you once if you could dunk it easily, and you looked at me, rolled your
I,
eyes, and said, "Can I dunk it easily? I can dunk it any way that you want." That was a dumb question by me. Now, as for your question, yes, Paul Skenes can win the Cy Young in the National League this year. We no longer have guys throwing up 230 innings anymore. We have nobody who wins. Rarely does anyone win 20 games. He has time to win the Cy Young. We wondered, is there time for him to start the All-Star game? And yes, he was good enough to earn a start in the All-Star game. So we'll see where he goes from here. There are a lot of really good candidates in the National League. And as for what the Pirates need, well, like every other team, they could use another starting pitcher, even though those big three, when healthy, are really good. They could use another middle of the order hitter, and everyone could use bullpen help. So it'll be fascinating to see what the Pirates do here because, again, they've worked their way back into a pennant race here, and this is no time to give up. This is the time to add, not subtract.
Hanging out with ESPN's Tim Kurkjian right now. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Kurkjian_ESPN and check out his podcast, Great Game or What. We'll give you a little more on that pod coming up in a sec. Tim, let's get to some other trade talk. What are you most excited about over the next week? Is there a certain name? Is there a certain team that really stands out to you? Is there kind of like an island that you're standing on in terms of something that you want to see? You know, we've covered Scooble a lot and kind of shooting down the rumors and thinking that the Tigers are actually just getting an appraisal on what he's worth. But, you know, what do you see with some of the top arms like a Crochet? Is there a big bat that could get moved that we're not talking about?
Well, if Scooble moves, that will be the big surprise and that will be the big move because that guy's great and he's got, flexibility financial wise for a couple more years. He is so attractive. Why would the Tigers trade him? I just don't see it happening. But Scott, you're right. I think everything centers around the White Sox right now. Are they going to move Garrett Crochet? More important, if they do move him, how many more innings does he have left? Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a reliever? These are really difficult questions to be known for the acquiring team. Then you have to watch if Luis Robert is going to go because so many teams need another hitter, especially middle of the order bat, and he would provide both. And we have to watch, and this is the most fascinating thing to me, the Yankees and the Dodgers, they need help. They need to go get a starter each. They need to go get a hitter each. So when you find two teams that are already really good and need to win because of the pressure involved in this almost win the World Series or bust kind of season, it will be really interesting to see how aggressive the Yankees and the Dodgers are going after players. And I think it's got to start with Scooble, and I don't think he's going. Then I think you got to look at the White Sox and see who they move. And it seems fairly obvious to most people, the White Sox have to move as many people as possible because this is a rebuild without a doubt.
Who has the most pressure on them? The Yankees, who are looking to win the World Series with this roster. So like a Yankees Brian Cashman have the most pressure, or a Chris Getz White Sox. Like, don't screw this up or else we're going to be stuck for another 5 years, even though we're going to be stuck for another 3 years. Who has more pressure?
I think it's the Yankees because the Yankees have built this season and after the great start on going to and winning the World Series. And of course, the Juan Soto factor is enormous here. Every time they win a game, they improve their chances, even by a minuscule amount, of keeping him. If they go to and win the World Series, just logically, you would think they will have a better chance of keeping him on a long-term deal because he will say, hey, we just won the World Series. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to play next to Aaron Judge for the next 5-10 years, whatever it's going to be. So I think there is more pressure on the Yankees given the Soto element and given that they haven't won the World Series since 2009 and people in the Bronx are getting restless.
How about more pressure? Two teams that are in similar situations. They're going to win for a long time, but they both have World Series aspirations. Orioles or the Dodgers?
I think it's even more so with the Dodgers, given how much pressure they put upon themselves by signing one guy who deserved it for $700 million. Then you add Yamamoto for another $300 million. When you spend over $1 billion on two players, it's almost by definition you have to win the World Series. And I think the Dodgers feel that. They know we need another hitter. We need another starting pitcher just in case Buehler and Kershaw don't come back like the pitchers we thought they would be. And Yamamoto, say, doesn't come back until September. And what's he going to be like? I think the Orioles have some pressure, no doubt, because Corbin Burns likely will leave after the season, but their farm system is still so loaded. I don't think they have to win this year necessarily because they have the cavalry coming and injured pitchers returning at some point. So I'll say the two most pressurized teams are the Dodgers and the Yankees to do something big at the trade deadline.
All right, the pressure's off, but now the pressure's on the Jays. Can the Toronto Blue Jays actually do the right thing and pull the trigger and trade some big pieces because so many teams need what they have? Or are they just going to do the little Kikuchi and maybe Danny Jansen and just their older pieces that are on 1 year expiring contracts?
Right. Well, Ross Atkins, the general manager, has made it clear we're not trading Bichette and we're not trading Vlad Guerrero Jr. Now, he said that roughly 3 weeks ago, and I was in complete agreement. But we've watched the Blue Jays now, and I'm sorry, I have relatives in Toronto, but the Blue Jays are not going to the playoffs, and that window is closing pretty quickly here. So maybe it's time to reconsider and see what the Dodgers will give you for Bo Bichette, who would play shortstop every day for them as a major upgrade. Then they can play Mookie Betts at second. I mean, Vlad Guerrero's got 4 homers in his last 5 games. We're starting to see that power bat that we saw a few years ago. How many teams would love to add him to the middle of the order? But you can't trade either one unless you get overwhelmed and get exactly what you need to keep the window open and stay good for several years. But 3 weeks ago, I said they shouldn't do it. Now I'm starting to wonder maybe they should.
Hey, Tim, I want to go back to a team that we're all looking at. And that's the White Sox. What are they going to do? And I look at a guy right now who's continuing to play good baseball when it's hard to play good baseball when you're on a bad team. Tommy Pham. When you look at his resume, and I look at the Yankees, you look at the Verdugos, the Grishams, is there a place for a guy like that? Is there a market or a trade proposal that might could get the Yankees a guy like that? Because when you look at the bats that are out there, there aren't many, at least that come to mind. You think of Lane Thomas. I think he could help a team. I think of Tommy Pham. What type of package or what type of team do you see those guys possibly fitting in as far as helping a team that needs a bat? Because there are not a lot of bats out there right now.
Right. Tommy Pham could help just about any team right now. You know this, Cam. He brings an edge to wherever he goes. And if you're going to play down the stretch, you're going to need a guy in there who is ready to rumble any day, whether it's at the plate or anywhere else. And that's what Tommy Pham brings. I thought the Blue Jays could desperately use him a month ago, but maybe it's a little too late for that. But any team that needs, Seattle needs another hitter. He would fit in with a bunch of teams. The Yankees could use Tommy Pham. The Dodgers could use Tommy Pham. He's not a great player, but he's a good hitter still. And like I said, he brings a toughness and an edge to any team, and that really helps down the stretch.
Hey, Tim, is there a team that's in wild card contention? We could say AL or NL that you really like, because we seem to be in this trend where wild card teams can make a deep playoff run, and we might be looking at a ball club that's 500-ish, kind of and then all of a sudden they get hot maybe in August and they just continue that streak like the Diamondbacks have done, the Braves have done a few years ago, all the way to a World Series title. Is there a team that you've seen, whether it's in person or you've just watched a good chunk of their games, that you're like, this could be this year's Diamondbacks, and also maybe they should be seriously adding even if they're not even in a playoff spot at this moment?
Yeah, Scott, there are a bunch of teams like that that could be dangerous if they get in. But look at the Padres for a minute. I mean, when they get Fernando Tatis Jr. back and they have Luis Ariz for the rest of the year hitting 350 or so, their starting pitching since the All-Star break has been spectacular. Once they get everybody healthy, Darvish, Musgrove, the rest of them, I think they can throw out a three-man rotation in the postseason that could be very dangerous. And with the way they put it in play and the athletic nature of their team, they're one of those teams, one of several who get in and you say, oh boy, watch out for the Padres. I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs, but if they do get in, they have a chance to be dangerous given the way they swing the bats and the strength of that starting pitching.
Hey, speaking of Tim, a team that is looking now all of a sudden like they will make the playoffs, and I don't think we're talking about enough. What is on the Astros plate as far as what are they going to do to bolster this team and try to make a run? Because now you look at it, Seattle has took a model dive to the depths. Now they're looking really suspect. They don't have the offense. Texas is kind of in the mix, but the Astros now looking like the team that they've always looked like, in the team atop of the AL West. Any word on what they might try to do to go and kind of try to shore up that team? I know we talked about bullpen help, starting rotation. What are you hearing?
Well, of course, like every other team, they could use a good hitter in the middle of the order. I mean, imagine Vlad Guerrero playing first base for the Astros. I don't think that's going to happen. What has to happen for them, at least for me, is they have to get their starting pitching healthy again. And we're not sure how long that's going to take. We're not sure how, when Justin Verlander, what he's going to look like when he comes back exactly. But I think that's what they need to do. I think they need to get healthy. I don't think they're a team out there saying we have to do something here. They're finally starting to put it together offensively. And boy, they know how to win at this time of year. 7 straight trips to the LCS. They are a really interesting team. And this is why Seattle has to do something with their lineup, because I don't think they can stay with the Astros without a major move at the trade deadline.
All right, your guy on here, Cam, when you interviewed him and asked him if he could dunk, he rolled his eyes. But yesterday, he put something out on Twitter, and I want you to respond to what he said. Are the Mets right now better than the Yankees?
I think the Yankees are still better than the Mets, but imagine even asking that question 2 months ago. It is a legitimate question now. Fellas, I went to England with the Mets and the Phillies, and the way the Mets won that crazy Sunday game with the play at the plate, even you have never made that play, Eric, and you were a great defensive catcher. Yes, you don't tell me you made that play before.
I did. I was the last person to have an unassisted, 2 unassisted. Since then, it's so crazy. It actually came up on the telecast. But anyway, yes.
That is beautiful. All I know is I got a good load of the Mets in England, and I left thinking, boy, they're not very good right now, but they have enough to turn this around, and their offense has really started to click. Francisco Lindor, since moved to leadoff spot, looks really good again. Francisco Alvarez has changed their offense, even though he's in a bit of a slump these days. I think the Mets can make the playoffs. I think the Yankees are better, but I thought there was zero chance the Mets could make the playoffs 2 months ago. They deserve a lot of credit for, after a horrendous start, one of the worst months of May you'll ever see, to turn it around and play that well the last couple months. Really impressive.
Tim, and I have to tell you exactly who it was. This is a name for you. It was a swinging bunt by Ian Desmond, who's playing for the Nats, and trying to score was Steve Lombardozzi.
Oh, my gosh.
There's your name for you. There's your name.
Ian Desmond, Steve Lombardozzi. That can't be right. He's 50 years old.
No, Steve Lombardozzi's son.
Yeah, I was gonna say I covered Steve Lombardozzi in the 80s with the Twins.
No.
All right, now Eric, the play that you made, did it protect a 1-run lead in the 9th inning like that? It couldn't have.
It was not a one. It was a close game, but it was not a 1-run lead.
Right. Well, my point was that play that we saw has never happened in the history of baseball. A two unassisted like that to protect a 1-run lead and end the game. But I knew you would be a part of this because backup catchers are a part of everything. They're the lifeblood
That's what
of
they
the
do.
sport. We love it. It's great.
He's great for media. Kratz does not miss a beat on anything. Major leagues, minor leagues, crazy plays, all of that. All right, so I want to finish with this, Tim. I know you launched a new podcast this year with your son, which we're excited to check out here with Jeff. So wanted to get some insight. Is this a great game or what? I've looked, there are some incredible guests. I love to learn about the history of the game, and also just it is difficult to get the VIPs of the VIPs. So do you want to give our listeners a little taste of what it's about and also maybe one standout moment right now?
Well, it's just a Valentine Day show for baseball fans, all right? There's no heavy lifting. We're not doing any predicting. We're not yelling at each other. It's a father and a son talking about baseball. We learn and we laugh. That is our motto of our show, and we have laughed uproariously. Last week with Johnny Bench, who, by the way, Eric, was even better than you behind the plate. And
Oh, stop.
we have so much fun. And here's how bad I am at technology, which I acknowledge to you guys. I drive to Philadelphia from Maryland every week, every Monday, to do the show from my son's basement because I'm afraid to be left alone with the technology in my house just in case anything goes wrong. So if my microphone doesn't work or my headphones don't work, I can look at Jeff, who's a magician with technology because he's 30. And he said, please help old Papa figure out what to do here. Otherwise, I can't do it. It has been so much fun. It has been the highlight of my career because I'm working with my son and we're talking about baseball. Last week we had Johnny Bench. We had Cal Ripken Jr. the week before, Scott Van Pelt the week before. So we have a lot of laughs because, fellas, sorry, we're covering baseball for a living. It's an impossible sport to play and to cover. You better laugh once in a while. Otherwise, you're not going to get through it.
Well, you master it for a long time, obviously, Tim, like you mentioned, and it's okay. You don't have to be the tech wizard. That is totally for Jeff. That is fine. And I love the devotion of driving over there because I get it. You don't want to have Johnny Bench waiting on line one and say, "Ooh, I don't know how to get my connection back."
No, that's not happening at our show because we got a brilliant kid figuring it out, not some dopey old dad.
Well, everyone go check it out. What?
Are you the one on a FaceTime call where, like, as the call goes, you just keep getting lower and lower and lower, and they're like, "I'll pop up, Tim, come back," and you're like, "What?
Right.
Do you get lower as the screen goes?
Well, that's kind of how my whole life works, Eric. I'm always getting lower every time. When you're 5'4.5", there's not many places that you can go.
Well, and maybe he can't dunk, but I've always heard Tim is one of the better media basketball players out there. You are, a legend in that category. People always say, don't play one-on-one with Kurkjian. Don't get in a pickup game and think he's on the other side like you can take him down. So just a little shout out for our crowd if they don't know.
Well, I know this. I could throw a lob to Cam, and he would slam with both hands. He can do it any way he likes. I know how to throw a lob.
I'll catch it for sure.
There you go. I love that. Well, Tim, you're the best. Thank you so much for joining us, enlightening us on what's going on here with the trade deadline, some of these teams. Good luck continuing with the podcast with your son, Jeff, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay, fellas, thanks. I loved it. See you.
We got to talk about AG1. Yes, the green packets that make your day. It is a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers daily nutrients and gut health support, and it's backed by multiple research studies so you can trust what is going into your body. Shouting them out all week long here. If you visit drinkag1.com/foul, I'll let you know in just a minute what you can get as part of the little FT special. But Kratz, give me your best 30 seconds on your AG1 experience. You wake up, you sometimes forget, then you realize that you don't have as much energy, and then you remember.
It's not like I'm not a coffee drinker. So, like, energy for me, I don't need energy. But for me, I sit there and I go, there's just something not quite clear. It just clears everything up. I love it.
Love that. How was that, Cam? Sold?
Listen, I'm about to pour up right now. I've been on AG1, so you guys.
There you go.
I'm glad you guys jumping on board now.
There we go. I love it. we're into daily health, energy, gut health, the whole deal, right? Obviously, it's me and then a bunch of former players on this show. 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after drinking AG1 for 30 days. So for FT fans, this is still running for you. You can try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, plus 5 free AG1 travel packs when you make your first purchase at drinkag1.com/foul. That's drinkag1.com/foul. Go check it out.
Hey everybody, be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.